I'll just cover the project sort of briefly. The tools themselves are built under Perl. Perl was just a natural choice because everything else that's in the Google SOAP Search API, a majority of that code is in Perl, but it does support Java, .NET and a few others. So to actually rig this tool up, we predominantly use the SOAP Lite module. There's talk within the review community of using the net.google cpan module. And for code quality and that kind of thing, we use the Perl Critic, which is obviously based on the Perl best practices. And our development environment is predominantly based on Eclipse with the Epic Perl plugin. So that essentially supports syntax highlighting and running Perl and everything automatically within the IDE. And the repository we use at the moment is just based on Subversion, simply because that's proving to be a more popular repository tool at the moment. The code itself is actually stored on, is actually held at code.google.com. The actual URL for that is /p/Google hacking. One thing I will add is you can't actually find it by the Google hacking tag, because Google themselves don't allow you to tag projects such as in that manner. I don't know why, but they just don't. So if anyone's actually interested in actually participating in the project or just reviewing it or sending me criticisms or whatever, in terms of, or would like to see something sort of brought up, then please by all means approach me after this talk, because we're definitely looking for reviewers at the moment. In terms of the actual roadmap, I've got a few presentations coming up. So straight after this conference, I'm flying to San Diego to go to TalkOn, where I'm presenting a 20-minute talk based on the TCP input text proof of concept. And what that essentially does is we'll take Google search results, and for every host or subdomain that it locates, it will actually give you the corresponding TCP port, which you can then input into Nmap and Netcat and that kind of thing. So it's more or less a simple regular expression tool of mining Google search results. And it will actually natively support generating the Nmap and Netcat command lines for you. I'm doing the TalkOn presentation is actually a 20-minute talk. At Sector, I'll be combining both this presentation as well as the TalkOn presentation for an hour presentation in Toronto, Canada, which is in early October. And then finally, hopefully once we can get the project reviewed and everything, we can do a release at RuxCon, which is late November. So I'm again presenting this talk there, and possibly anything that we've added in the project from there to do it. Okay, so this is the actual timetable. So we're just going to refactor the code as it is now. We're intending to do the public release at RuxCon. At the moment, it's scheduled for to be checked into code.google after RuxCon. The only reason that is because when I return to Australia in late October, I'm actually responsible for the wireless network for RuxCon, so I run the Aruba Wireless there. And then our next intention is to do a half-day training course, which covers both the content that I presented in Australia as well as here, and then any other additional content for the first quarter of 2009. Now at the moment too, I have some other research going on in terms of reverse engineering and all that, so depending on when the other conference CFPs are released, that may get pushed to Q2 or that kind of thing. So in closing, I'd like to thank the people that pushed this project through. Justin Derry, who's essentially the most senior OWASP person within Australia. Mark Curfey, who's the actual OWASP founder, who is actually interested in that SOAP to HTTP scraper. Dennis is actually the OWASP board sponsor, and obviously Paulo is the OWASP project manager. And I'd like to thank also Martin, who is actually here from Europe at the moment, for giving me the On the Move funding, and then obviously Tom, Kate and Alison for their assistance during the project itself. Finally, that's the presentation schedule as it is. All the presentations will actually be released and published on SlideShare, as I mentioned before, so you don't need to go to those. All the video and that kind of content will also be pushed from there. Yeah, sure. Yep.
So I think it'd be cool if you took the results and for each result you sent like an end request to the non-cache version and see if the response is now 4.3 or 4.1 or something. So then you can tell this used to be open, but now it's hidden. It'll be kind of like a clue to search through all your results and say, you know, this is something that you might be interested in as a pen tester.
Well, the other thing is too is Google won't actually retain all the cache content, so you can still get search results but nothing in the cache itself. There's another possibility of using the tool to actually do the urgent page removals. So as Google lists the content, which you can currently do through the webmaster tools. So we are looking at doing that, and if you were actually to go and use like a cached version of the actual page, you'd probably go to Wayback Machine. So that way you get a historical archive from there.